new State Champs Esports Show, we look back at some of the greatest gamer movies, chat with an award-winning designer, and much more. Hello everyone and welcome back to another fun-filled episode brought to you by Lawrence Tech, Army Michigan, and Hungry Howie's. It was recently announced that the 1983 cult film The Last Starfighter will be getting a newly restored Blu-ray release this October. The sci-fi action comedy tells the story of an arcade game master recruited to fight in an interstellar war. The news got us thinking about our favorite Hollywood hits that feature fictional gamers.
Who's that guy?
That's TRON. That's TRON.
TRON is considered the first film about the video game industry and also features the first use of digital animation. Kevin Flynn is a hacker played by Academy Award winner Jeff Bridges, who gets digitalized and pulled inside a computer. The movie was not a big hit, but it spawned one of the best ever arcade games and kicked off the whole video game movie genre. Due to a demand by fans, a follow-up sequel, Tron Legacy, was made 28 years later.
Shall we play a game?
In 1983, the Cold War thriller War Games played upon the threat of nuclear annihilation as a young Matthew Broderick unknowingly almost starts World War III by hacking into the US government's missile defense system. War Games was one of the biggest moneymakers of the year and earned several Academy Award nominations. The Wizard came out in 1989. It's about three youngsters who travel cross-country to play at a Nintendo tournament in Los Angeles.
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
At the time, it was criticized for being little more than a cheesy promotion for the game Super Mario Bros. 3. But over the years, late 80s nostalgia has turned this into a cult favorite, earning it a deluxe Blu-ray release earlier this year. No list of great movies about gaming would be complete without Wreck-It Ralph from 2012.
If I'm really honest with myself, it sure must be nice being the good guy.
Ralph, you are bad guy, but this does not mean you're bad guy.
I don't want to be the bad guy anymore.
The animated classic takes the premise of Tron to the next level by imagining what the inner life of video game characters is like. It's loaded with tons of old school game references, and you can tell the filmmakers are massive video game fans. Wreck-It Ralph is streaming now on Disney+. No one really wanted a sequel to the beloved Robin Williams movie Jumanji, so it was a shock when 2017's Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle came out. It was an action-packed comedy with heart that broke box office records. A large part of the success was based on shifting the original board game's coming to life premise to putting the new characters into a Jumanji video game ripe with all the industry cliches like bad cutscenes, one-dimensional avatars, and more.
That old game machine must have electrocuted us, now we're oh my God!
And last on our list is the 2018 Steven Spielberg blockbuster Ready Player One, based on the best-selling novel of the same name. The hit movie manages to capture the greatness of the original 8-bit generation of games, as well as the exciting potential of VR and emerging technology.
There's nowhere left to go. Nowhere. Except the Oasis.
And now we've got an interview with Mars Ashton, who is an award-winning indie game developer and director of game design at Lawrence Tech.
All right, so thank you so much. We're actually so excited to have you on the show, being that you are such an insane gamer at heart, really. I mean, by playing video games and then actually designing them. So I wanted to jump right in and ask you about your new game that you've created, Flux, which I believe is available on Steam.
Yeah, it's available on Steam and itch.io. It was also a part of the, it's the bundle for racial justice and equality.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Very honored to have that game in there. Yeah, proud of that game.
So tell us a little bit about the gameplay and the whole dynamic of it.
Well, it's built in Flash, which is a bit of a dated engine at this point, another proud point. But The game is all about playing out this role as a courier, kind of a mercenary for hire, and you take on a variety of odd jobs. But each day, this story unfolds through text messages between the player character and their girlfriend, and you find out a lot more about the world and all of the characters. And it's really a deep dive into this world that I've created. A couple of the games that I've built, a lot of color, a lot of glam rock, like 80s hairstyles and stuff.
All right, well, it sounds super cool. I haven't had a moment to check it out too much, but even just from the description, I dig it.
It's cool. I mean, it's a game that, it's very little challenge. There's really no barrier of entry. You jump in and you're reading some messages and walking around, and then there's mini games that are rhythm based. There's mini games that are a little bit more action oriented, but there's no challenge. It's a game just about jumping in and just chilling and just relaxing, listening to some good music. Music was actually done by an LTU student, Dylan Packard. Just phenomenal, chill wave retro soundtrack. It's pretty rad.
Amazing. So then I guess briefly touch on what your role is over at Lawrence Tech and what your involvement is in the gaming scene over there.
So I'm an assistant professor of game design. The program was called Game Art, but we had renamed it. So I've kind of been, curriculum lead, really. I've been a teacher at LTU for 8 years now, which is wild. So when it comes to course content and recommending, talent to come in and teach the courses, I'm the person for that. I've also been leading a lot of, faculty liaison type roles with student organizations. So the esports stuff I've helped out with, Anime Club and Art Shop and all these game-oriented or game-relevant clubs. And then again, as faculty, helping student leadership take on these roles for the LTUX, annual conference, which obviously wasn't held, this year, but we'll be talking about ways of holding it virtually, I think, next year.
So then with that, I know that LTUX was canceled, which is super unfortunate. But what would your opinion be on how the pandemic has affected just general gaming, as far as I feel like it hasn't had to slow down too much, being that it's one of the few things that most people are able to do from the safety of their own homes?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the film industry where, they can't do these big, grand openings and, nobody's going to the theater, so what are they going to do? I think for a lot of people, it's divisive. Either, the at home, they're all of a sudden working from home, but taking on new roles within parenting, all of a sudden they're also, having to homeschool their kids and all of that. Or, you find people who are like, wow, I have so much more free time now and I can finish all of these projects and I can do all of this stuff. And I think what it's amounted to is a lot of really great things, because on the latter side, you've got people who are able to produce in ways they've never been able to produce before. They're able to get products out there and above all else, push the medium as an art form, as this, a means of expression. And then the people like me who are maybe a little too busy and, a little all over the place and really trying to juggle. It's really setting the stage for the industry in the sense of this realization that we can work from home. We can work remotely. We don't all necessarily have to be in the same space. And there's conversations going, and it's definitely not a black and white thing in the sense of it's much better or it's much worse, pros and cons. But I think it's really putting a little bit more validity to this conversation of can we just be remote? Do we need to be centralized and localized? It's good.
I guess my last question for you, which I'm most interested in, would just be how or what got you into game design? How did you find yourself here? My
family would play board games here and there, and I'd get kind of bored and I'd want to mix up the rules. I'd play, games like Magic the Gathering, and I got bored of the way that, it was being played. We played it so often. I wanted to mix things up. And, this just kind of naturally led me, I think, to this realization. I was 17, I think, and I was trying to get into college earlier and it wasn't working out. I was wasting a lot of time just playing games. And then my grandfather, who I was really close to, passed, and it was kind of this catalyst to all right, I got to get more serious about this stuff. I got to, pick up the pace and actually make something out of my situation, my circumstances.
I've always wondered, because some people I think can get stuck at just the playing video games, and then it can become a hard turnaround, but it sounds like you really, really, really turned it into almost like a dream come true, many people would say. So I mean, congratulations on your game. That's so exciting.
Thanks.
I'm 100% going to check it out probably right after we get off the phone. But is there anything else you'd like to add about, I mean, really anything about the gaming industry right now, about your game, about...
I mean, anybody checking this out, like the games industry is such a unique industry in the sense of like, everybody comes into it or with ideas, you know, they want to, they're so inspired by the games that they've played, and then, oh man, what if, you know, I've got this, what if you could do this and you could do that. Like, there are so many free resources available. I tell prospective students all the time, like, you know, technically, if you sat down and, you know, knew where to go and knew the, you know, the videos to watch and all of these resources that all of these game engines and companies release, you know, you don't even have to go to college. You know, you can just make it on your own, you know, through self-teaching, through, you know, it takes a lot of discipline, and of course the college provides a structure, it provides the networking opportunities and a lot of other things that are beneficial. A lot more guidance, of course, but you know, it's this like entrepreneur friendly, you know, self-driven thing. You know, and I mentioned, you know, it being this medium, this art form of expression, and more than ever now with the way that things are, I feel like people are paying more and more attention to these obscure pieces of art that are games. You know, if you're interested in just writing, you're interested in just, you know, telling a story, or, you know, you're just interested in mechanics, like there's a place for all of these different types of games. But if you want it to be super successful and be that, you know, I want to make a game and make millions, you're going to need marketing, you're going to need to know the right people, like, you know, but if financial success is not your thing, it's a really great, fun, easy thing to get into, hobby-wise, or, you know, kind of a side thing that can, for a lot of people, including, you know, some of the instructors that we have and some of the most successful people in our community and in the industry, they had a day job and then did this on the side, and then it became so lucrative, you know, that all of a sudden, you know, they're leaving a company like King, Candy Crush and stuff, and then building Minecraft, you know. So, yeah, kind of a little pro tip for everybody. If anybody is watching and interested and, you know, not really sure what's going on, I'm always available, Ashton at ltu.edu to answer questions. And then, yeah, check out my game.
All right, thank you, Mars. And for more information on LTU's game design program, visit their website at ltu.edu. Now, to round out the show, we've got another recommendation from our resident gamer, Chuck.
Chuck back with you for yet another game review. This time, we set sail in the open world that is called Sea of Thieves, available on Xbox and PC. While you can party up with up to 4 players, you'll need the bigger boat named the Galleon, but for today, I played with State Champs Kev, so we picked the much smaller sloop. There are many ways to play Sea of Thieves, from purchasing voyages at any outpost, from the 3 main merchants, or by finding maps and quests scattered throughout the world. No matter what you do, there will be PvP or PvE interaction. Right off the bat, on our first island, we came across a load of treasure, scooped it up, and returned it to an outpost to be cashed in. Next, we found a quest and headed towards the island where we had to fight off some legendary skeletons. On our return to an outpost, a ghost ship appeared from under the water and started to attack us. While we did sink that ghost ship, our ship was heavily damaged and a bigger ship was lurking behind us ready to take advantage, and they did. While we had a lot of fun on our adventure, there are little things in the game that make the experience unique, such as this capture of a partial solar eclipse. The makers of Sea of Thieves are committed to adding fresh content so that your pirate experience will never end. As always, have fun and good luck.
All right, and for everyone at State Champs Esports, thank you for watching. And as always, we ask you to join us in thanking Lawrence Tech, Army Michigan, and Hungry Howie's for their continued support. We'll see you next time.